Hi, my name is Rick Hardinger. I work for American Republic Insurance in Des Moines, Iowa. We've got the Duplo collator back there, the Esper, and I guess Steve's going to ask me some questions about what we want to do with this thing.
What's the main application for the machine, Rick?
We do agent sales kits pretty much on a daily basis, and you know, they can range from 1,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 a day. So
how'd you do this before you had the Esper?
this was totally manual and collated by temporary help. Very slow process.
So before you had the Esper collator, typically how long would it take you to do, say, 1,000 books? What did you figure it cost you to do that?
Well, typically to do 1,000 books, if we had 7 or 8 temps in for that day, we might get 1,000 done. And typically now 1,000 will take us maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Cost savings, well, cost savings is we pay for the machine in a year, so that tells you what we saved as far as temp help versus doing it on the Esper itself. So
at one time you told me that you figured the temp help cost you what per day for those 1,000
Well, I don't know that I figured it up per day, but for a yearly cost in the year prior to getting the Esper, I think we had somewhere around $50,000 for temp help.
So $50,000 in labor costs alone?
Yes, just in labor costs.
And you were producing an average of 1,000 or less per
Maybe
day?
Maybe 1,000 a day. That would be a really good day.
Okay. What do you figure you're averaging in number of books per day now?
Oh, I would say we're in the neighborhood of, I mean, they can produce up to 4,000 a day.
Okay.
You know, so depending on what the workload is, I think it pretty much will handle up to at least 4,000, if not more, a day.
So it would be fair to say that you're doing 4 times the production at a fraction of the cost? I mean,
oh yeah, I mean yeah. At this point, it doesn't cost us anything because the machine's paid for. So,
right.
But in the initial year that we had it, it paid for itself in 1 year.
Okay.
So, and we initially had figured a payback of about 2 years, almost 3 years.
So then it was actually a lot less than you anticipated.
Oh yeah, by far.
And has the machine actually saved you in situations where you're under a crunch, where perhaps before the manual process wouldn't have
Last Friday we needed 2,800 kits, and we needed them out that right then, and we had them done, and they were finished. I mean, by that morning. So, yeah. What that does is it frees up our shipping area. It's really a domino effect with this machine, because if we're faster in collating, we're faster in shipping, we're faster in producing the manuals, whatever it takes to produce that kit, we're ahead of the game.
Okay.
Because of that machine.
Right. What's your experience been service-wise with the device? Have you had many calls or any calls in the past year?
Well, Steve didn't pay me to say this. But on the maintenance of this machine, in a year, I think we've seen one repairman, and that repair would have been able to be done by us. It was really just a matter of trying to figure out what it was. It was a 50-cent piece. There's been no major breakdowns, just routine replacements of some of the belts if it needs to, and we haven't even gotten to that point. So, and we've produced 600,000 to 700,000 kits in that amount of time so far. So,
wow. What would you say to another manager that might be considering the acquisition of an Esper?
It's a win-win, and it's a slam dunk. It absolutely does the job, and it'll do such a variance of product thicknesses and sizes that there's no other thing on the market that does it. So it's very much a win-win.
American Republic Insurance Company, and we use the Esper DM. And this is Brad, if you can view over him. I'd just like to tell you a little bit about how we use this collator, Esper DM. This is our setup. We've come to realize it's a pretty simplistic idea, but we use a grid table to have our components that we're going to stick in the bins, and we've got a 20 bin, and we have a work order that has exactly what order our components need to be going in and into our kits, and we put cell kits together. Different thicknesses of product. We have things from booklets, stapled pieces, to single sheets, real thin, glossy type paper, and that's real. You know, you've got different tensions and what do I want to say? Not tensions, but thicknesses of paper that need to be going through. And if you know the machine, if you know the collator at all, you know it's got 3 different ways you can adjust for different kinds of product. We have not run across any trouble with any product except newsprint, and that might be our own problem. But range from anything from like 8.5 to 11 to you know, something like a trifold, a small narrow piece, and we have not come across any product at all, any component that we cannot put through the Esper. So. What I'm doing here is just loading the bin, and there are 3 different places where you load for tension of product. I've got a thick book here, so I'll turn the bin on. I'll set the product or the tension inside. There's 3 different places that you have to set tension for one bin, so you've actually got to do that 20 times each product. These bins here, we have the same product in there, so you can actually, I call them, marry them together. You can go from one bin when one runs out to the next. So that's what I'm doing now.
What are you doing, Brad?
I'm going to check one kit. We always check one sample before we produce a whole bunch of ones that could be wrong. We don't know.
Okay.
Most of our sales kit products, things in different types of sales kits, you have different products. You want to look down here, this is one of our, it's called Freedom Choice or Freedom Medicare. It's got a front booklet and other various types of information, an application here, return envelope, rate sheet, keeping your personal information confidential. This is the guidebook for this Wisconsin kit. It tells you where you can go to different doctors and things, different plans. Just some more information here. And that's all these last things are. And then an ID page which we use to identify the kit for our own personal use in American Republic Insurance.